G'day my fellow YouTubers! It's the Gunjaroo here. How you going? Today I've got a very special episode for you. This one's close to my heart. It was really hard to make this one, hard to watch all this footage and just realise how silly we are as a whole race. Now, I had a brother, he was a greenskeeper and he died at the age of 39, leaving behind 2 young boys. So, if I could get any message across in this video, stop using it around your family, around your kids. And on that note, I'm going to try to make cancer as lighthearted as I can. Let's go! Enjoy!
Better weed management.
Yeah.
Why did the company need to prepare to inform the public of the truth? I don't know if I really need to answer that.
No need to pump, just point and shoot. Hit him in the leaves and it kills to the root. Roundup, extended control.
The world's most trusted herbicide.
From parks to paddocks.
Questions have been raised around the safety of Roundup and its key ingredient, glyphosate.
But the herbicide glyphosate,
Use of glyphosate.
sprayed on everything from gardens to footpaths to fields of crops. It is quite simply everywhere.
To orchestrate outcry.
With farmers warning any bans on glyphosate would be an agricultural disaster.
And farmers across Australia at the moment really are incredibly worried about this hype that's going on worldwide about the court cases in America.
But to actually label or lay the blame at one particular compound in the whole environment is quite a stretch in my view. I feel for the gentleman that's had cancer. I've had cancer myself, nothing to do with glyphosate.
He and his daughter Georgie are preparing for the next crop by spraying with the weed-killing chemical glyphosate.
I would go close to 100% of conventional farmers use Roundup to some extent now. I'm happy for my kids to come and work with me and my daughter to work with it and my wife to work with it, if that's the case may be.
Peter thinks this is the safest.
Nothing to do with glyphosate.
I'm a farmer. I have a family that uses, chemicals and compounds all the time.
So there's at least 3 studies that do link Roundup to cancer. Does that worry you?
Also, it's about consumers as well and the person that eats the product at the end of the day. A link which accords with the decisions of regulators right around the world that finds this product safe to use according to the instructions on the label.
Glyphosate can be used safely following directions on the label.
So you're saying if you had to use something else, it would be...
So way more expensive. And as farmers, we have to try and stick with the science.
The Australian regulator has never done a test, a scientific study on Roundup.
Roundup that's been blamed in the US for causing cancer.
Safety concerns about the use of Roundup on public land. Over the past 12 months, 3 separate juries in America found that glyphosate, the key ingredient in Roundup, caused cancer.
Glyphosate does not cause cancer.
Government workers are using and storing the chemical.
Glyphosate causes cancer. Roundup is the most widely used weed killer on Earth. The stuff can kill you. In the bush, Roundup is as fundamental to farming as an Akubra hat and good rain.
There's some chemtrails up there.
Sue Monsanto and its herbicide Roundup for causing cancer.
Your white blood cells just start to do too much dancing around and it gets a whole different party happening.
You were covered in poison.
Yeah.
From fairways to family homes. Roundup and its principal ingredient, called glyphosate, has been used around the world and across Australia for 40 years. Monsanto points to 800 studies saying it's perfectly safe. It's been marketed as a harmless herbicide.
40 years from now, we're going to look back at this time and go, what fools we were. Of course it causes cancer. How did it take us so long to figure it out?
The weed killer is killing them.
So wait, are we the weeds? Are they trying to kill us?
Manufacturer is still insisting their product is completely safe and has no links whatsoever to any cancer.
And they should know that this product is not really safe to use.
finding that Roundup and its key ingredient, glyphosate, was carcinogenic, has shocked farmers around the world.
So all that crop, all those properties using Roundup.
Right.
Roundup Ready means everything else growing in this field dies after spraying. World Health Organization committee that labelled Roundup's key ingredient, glyphosate, a 2A carcinogen.
We certainly found some studies that showed an association between glyphosate and cancer, both in animals and in humans.
The APVMA has gone missing in action when it comes to protecting Australians from a potentially deadly chemical. Council workers weren't wearing masks.
It says avoid contact with the eyes and wash hands after use.
Say anything about wearing a mask or a respirator?
No.
Nothing?
No. The safety instructions are only available on the safety data sheet, which has to be downloaded from the web.
Who goes on the internet, Liam? You know what I mean? I didn't use no protection, Liam, because there was no thing on the label saying you got to wear any protections. And don't spray any animals.
Farmers' lymphoma, he said it's common to farmers. He said too many farmers are overrepresented in the population of lymphoma sufferers. Well, that just made me feel so damn guilty. I should have known. But in saying that, the bloody bastards that actually made this product, they should have made us all informed. At least put on that packet that there is a possibility. Make me aware, make me so that I can make an informed decision.
We want to understand why, because we need to do a better job explaining the science so people understand that glyphosate-based products are safe.
The big news here is that Monsanto has just been bought by the German pharmaceutical giant Bayer for $63 billion.
It's a horrible and unfortunate situation with the plaintiff, Mr. Johnson. We have great sympathy for him and his family, but Roundup does not cause cancer.
It's to be expected coming out of California, where they've got a world of tree huggers and people that do not understand it.
Corn is the country's most widely grown crop. They've been genetically modified to withstand being sprayed with glyphosate. 90% of America's corn crops are genetically modified using Monsanto's technology to tolerate glyphosate.
And it allows us to apply Roundup to the crop.
Can't imagine farming without glyphosate.
We've seen so much evidence of how the company has worked to hide the risks of its products.
It was never really a fair fight. Perennial weeds waged their war on valuable crops. Weeds had met their match. Well worth celebrating.
But doubts about the science behind the safety of Roundup surfaced soon after it was launched. The lab was caught up in a fraud scandal.
Cooking the books, so to speak, on these safety studies.
In the mid-1980s, a new study prompted scientists from the EPA to classify glyphosate as possibly carcinogenic to humans.
Some of their own scientists refused to sign off on that.
We're a science company, we're a science-based company. We believe in sound science, and we're not going to use data.
Weeds, no problem. Kill weeds and grasses, roots and all, with a shot of Roundup. For driveways, patios, fences. Make weeding easy. With Roundup, nothing kills weeds better.
You know, less dangerous than table salt. The fact that their advertising was so adverse to the regulations that they were required to follow under the federal law. They knew what the properties of Roundup were. They knew the dangers of Roundup, but yet they were trying to sell a different story.
You cannot say that Roundup is not a carcinogen.
That is their own toxicologist saying, so we can't say it doesn't cause cancer, because they don't know.
Glyphosate is on for an IARC review. The IARC panel classified glyphosate as a human carcinogen, and they would just edit and sign their names, so to speak.
International Agency for Research on Cancer's review concluded that there was some evidence that glyphosate was associated with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I was being removed from the panel. I think that's the reason I was removed, certainly.
This review went away.
Roundup caused their cancer.
Monsanto has effectively made a business out of poisoning people.
That 500-gallon tank, normally would spray that by noon. We would eat lunch and spray another 500 gallons. We would do that weeks at a time.
Roundup is dangerous.
They should have warnings.
Zero interest in safety.
Glyphosate remains safe to use in the Australian environment.
As most of its funding comes from the industry it regulates.
They pay so we can regulate their chemicals.
How can the public expect that you'll seriously police these products when you directly benefit from the sale of these products? You seem to have a financial interest in keeping these products on the shelves.
We take that particular responsibility extremely seriously.
They're paying to have influence.
More than 500 glyphosate products are used in Australia today.
No, I probably shouldn't really be promoting the use of a chemical because they're happy to sell it. And I thought, rightio, no, I'm going to do it. Yeah, it runs down. Really don't care. I'm doing it. The chemical's starting to take hold. And you can see where I stopped spraying here. So it's like a line in the sand almost. As much death and kill as we're going to get, it's totally given up hope. It's all but finished now. It's totally gone purple and hung its head up. Not much sign of life in it, I reckon. I reckon these are bindies on steroids. At as much kill as we're going to get, it's given up. But yep, no, gone. The Aussie lawn.
And I oversee the weed across South Australia and Victoria, which is 2 of our states. So I work in 2 different states.
Boy, this guy can count all the way to 2. He must be real smart.
We're a small country, so I'm actually paid effectively by farmers. They're now very excited. Farmers are paying for the research that we do. Our farmers are still using a lot of glyphosate. Funding from directly from the federal government and also some funding from our state government. They use glyphosate. We export a lot of wine and we have issues over chemical residues in wine. And that's part of the problem. We can use around water and, you know, that could cause a potential problem. Into the water, it'll go downstream and the downstream farmers, when they pump the water out, will pump out glyphosate. And the contractors go for the cheap one. They'll spray glyphosate. There was 100 kilometres of glyphosate. On the other side of the fence, we've got a farmer's field. What do you think that farmer's spraying? That material will move from one locality to the other into big populations. So firstly, it's because of the intensive use of glyphosate. They're using really high rates of glyphosate. They're using glyphosate all the time. They won't use other techniques. There's no competition.
Who do you trust?
Trust Monsanto? No bloody way.
So there you go. Don't use glyphosate. So I know that was a particularly hard one to watch. Oh, check out this big tree over here. What a beauty. Yeah, that one was hard to watch. I'm sure that there's not a person who's watching this video who hasn't had their lives touched by cancer. Anyway, if you did make it this far, I appreciate it. Thanks for all the likes, comments and subscribes. That really helps me out. Yeah, don't use glyphosate. There's no need for it. Don't use it around your kids, your family, or any reason at all. And let's start a class action lawsuit. Thanks very much for watching. See you later.
Make sure you subscribe to our channel